welcome to Championship Drill and taking a look back at the weekend's action in the EFL Championship, joined by Jerry and by Phil again, as always. How are you guys?
All good. All good.
Got to see some football over the weekend, which is
lots of football. I switched off this weekend. The little man went to my mum's house, so I just sat down with a coach like I did when I was 19, 18 years of age, and just no one bothered me for the whole day, Steve. It was great. I even watched the Liverpool game, so I was delighted.
nice to have one of those. Nice to have one of those games.
Absolutely.
And I saw your young fella started his first steps into his footballing career.
He did. He joined Blarney United on Saturday, so just have to give a big mention to John. There's a great setup out there for the underage kids. Obviously, there's a lot of clubs that I wanted him to go to, and it's hard to kind of pick one, but he goes to school in Blarney, so we opted for Blarney. But it was great. He was really good, and he reminds me of a young Stephen Gerrard, just the way he held that ball. So look, I'm going to take that, and hopefully George O'Callaghan will be his agent in a couple of years and put him on the straight and narrow and get him over to England. That'll be the aim.
Yeah, so we'll be cheering him on the Championship in a few years down the line.
Pension plan number 1, that is.
Yeah, great stuff. So we'll move on. Before we go to the games, I just want to talk about something, because it's become a big thing in the Premier League, which seems to be the only league now in Europe. Because was it last weekend the Championship, well, across the EFL, they changed the rules to allow 5 subs again.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working really well for the teams in the EFL in terms of not getting way too many injuries. And it hasn't disrupted the game as much as people thought, I think. But obviously Norwich, the exception to the rule, with players dropping like flies.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the 5 subs rule in the Championship? Like, has it been a good thing? Was it a good idea to bring it back?
I think it's exciting.
Yeah. It gives more players the opportunity as well, Phil, as you say. It's like if you have players on the bench, like, we're so used to the 3 subs, sometimes you don't see 2 in a game, but giving 5 players an opportunity to come off the bench is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Championship is one of the best leagues in the world, so I think it'll be a great thing, especially for the young products coming through the academies and stuff. It might give them a bit of a chance to make that impact,
Yeah. No, I agree.
It definitely does. And I think one of the things that's underrated, and it was actually Mikel Arteta that brought it up, was when you have 3 subs, you're allowed 5 on the bench and you're 11 starting. So you're allowed your matchday squad of 16 out of your league squad of 25. So that's 9 players that aren't making a squad. And with the new coronavirus rules, they're not allowed even in the stadium for the games, especially like the away games. So they, if you have the same like 6 or 7 guys that are never making a matchday squad, they're just left out completely and have to sit at home all weekend. While their teammates are going out doing things, and that can have a negative effect, especially on, like you said, the young fellas who might be training with them every week, and then they're never making a matchday squad. But with the expanded substitutions now, they can give them guys more of a chance, even if they don't come on. The likes now of, like you said, an Adam O'Reilly at Preston, who can be in and around the matchday squad and sit on the bench and that kind of thing.
But just imagine, Steve, that Adam O'Reilly next week plays against whoever and he scores an absolute cracker, right? He's the 4th sub to come on, the 4th or 5th sub to come on. So that bit of brief opportunity to come on as the 4th and 5th sub could change a player's life. One cracker, one absolute screamer, and you're a legend, and you build on that, you know what I mean? But I think it's a great rule. I think they need to keep VAR away from the Championship.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll come to him during the game. There was a few very dodgy calls yesterday, but but that's part of the fun of football, because that's the football we all grew up with.
Yeah.
Like, I remember playing football at a time when the back pass rule came in, and I thought this is the most ridiculous thing ever, because we were just so drilled into being allowed to knock the ball back to the goalkeeper and him pick it up. It was part of your game plan.
Yeah.
And suddenly you couldn't do that anymore, and suddenly goalkeepers who only ever had to worry about kicking the ball out for goal kicks suddenly had to be able to pass the ball with their feet, which they'd never done before.
Yeah.
But the game, I suppose, evolves over time. But part of the excitement has definitely been the referees making mistakes and the linesmen making mistakes.
Yeah, but sure, you always had that one gobshite in the schoolyard when someone back pass ball to the goalkeeper. That was back pass, still, boy. Sure, you know what I mean? You'd be there saying, you know what I mean? But it's look, you always have them goal hangers back in the school days, But it's Yeah, no, as I say, look, the Championship is one of the best leagues in the world. You know what I mean? The viewership every week to watch games is incredible, like from all over the world.
Yeah.
And like obviously there's some great things with VAR. Don't get me wrong, like, but this whole being a toe offside or a flick of a hair offside is a disgrace. And if they bring that to the Championship, it's going to ruin the league.
They actually might do in a few years' time.
They might, but hopefully by then they'll have. I think one of the issues with VAR isn't so much the replays; it's the rules. They need to change the rules around what they do. I mean, like you're getting handball penalties now that are ridiculous. That rule needs to change. I think there was an idea for offside that there has to be clear distance between the two players for it to be considered offside.
Yeah,
it would be much easier to spot.
I don't like this hand thing. I think it should be a foot.
Yeah,
it should be a foot.
Yeah.
I mean, if the linesman doesn't pick up on it, that's what they're saying. If it's not a clear and obvious error, which is what it's supposed to be used for.
Wasn't Brentford offside for like pointing with his hand one last week?
Yeah. Like it's getting ridiculous. So it's more the rules that need to change, I think, around it, where they're saying if there's clear daylight between the two players, then you give it. If there's not, then you don't bother with these lines and things. You just say, look, whatever they called on the pitch.
Yeah.
Lads, it's ruining the game. It's like I could name 100 examples, but like VAR is probably a good thing. But like just as you say, this whole thing of like Bamford looking for that ball, he put his hand out to get the pass, and he gets flagged offside for it. Like that game yesterday between Liverpool and Brighton. Brighton were brilliant, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
2 penalties, 2 goals disallowed. Like a player celebrating now it's like players won't celebrate next year in the Premier League because they'll be waiting 10 minutes to see if the goal actually stands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's ruining the game, like.
Yeah. It's rare. I think I was watching because obviously, like I watch all the Arsenal games. There was an Arsenal game a few weeks back. I can't remember which one it was, and I don't think there was a VAR decision in the entire game. And it was one of the first, I'd say, in the last 2 seasons where that's ever happened.
Beautiful. That's the way I just miss the old game. I miss the old game.
Yeah, and that's why we love the Championship so much. It's it gives us that excitement of the referees. As soon as the call is made in the Championship, that's it, which is great. There's no like, oh, we're going to look upstairs now. It's just it's a penalty or it's not a penalty, and just get on with it.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. So we'll start, I suppose, with Friday night's match, a big derby game here between QPR and Brentford. Yeah. And you know the derbies this season in general in the league haven't been the best, but this wasn't a bad one.
That was
good. Gave Brentford the lead. Dykes got a great goal. The cross from Samuel was something else. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
And then one of these decisions was Sorenson in the first half. I'll ask you about it in a second. A challenge on Dykes when he appeared to be the last man, and Toney obviously got the winner. They gave Brentford the lead, and then Kane was sent off. He'd already been on a yellow, so it was a silly tackle to go into when you've already been booked.
Yeah.
But I suppose we start with that Sorenson challenge, if you got to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, Dykes looked like he was true on goal.
Yeah. Should have been red. He always like you know the way they shoulder people, but he actually overpowered him. He like boom.
Yeah. And I mean, Dykes was about to shoot. I mean, he was definitely the last man back.
Yeah. Was it inside or outside?
I mean, it looked like the first touch to me was outside. I think the referee got that right. He gave a free kick rather than a penalty.
Yeah.
But it could easily have been a red card, and that was a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, if he'd have been sent off that early in the half. Yeah, like you said, it was a strange challenge because he was claiming was shoulder to shoulder. It was far more than shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, it was almost like a wrestling move with a pounce thing.
Yeah. The kids I coach, there's a few of them like that, and they're like, when I give a free against them in training matches or whatever, and they'd be like, but I use my shoulder, and I'm like, yeah, but it has to be to their shoulder. You can't shoulder someone in the back and claim it was a shoulder.
Yeah.
It was that kind of a thing. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I actually got the highlights, and Toney's on fire. I think Janlet is a good player. But yeah, Brentford needed to win. They needed to, as simple as, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that their first win?
I think they won, didn't they win midweek as well? Did they win midweek? Or did they draw that one? I can't remember. No, at this stage. But they haven't lost in a while, Brentford.
A lot of draws.
A lot of draws in that, but they're in the playoffs now, again, in the playoff places.
Yeah.
So they're starting to put a bit of form together in terms of not losing anyway. Picking up a few wins.
Toney really has come on, like, really.
Yes, is it something like 13 and 13 games or something like that he has? Or
he's a great player. And I think as you say, if Brentford go up next season, lads, if they have Toney and Ben Rama comes back next season, only on loan at West Ham, they could be a force to reckon with. Like,
yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. QPR though, they're very up and down, aren't they? I mean, they're probably going to end up around mid-table this season.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have in Warburton a former Brentford manager as well there. So
it's strange because they've been around so long and they are a really good club, like, you know what I mean, really good London club, and there's always kind of money there, like, you know what I mean. But it's just they, as you said, they win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win, lose. It's hard to be a QPR fan, I'd say.
I'd say it's awful at times. What about that cross from Samuel though for the Dykes goal? I mean, if that was Messi or Ronaldo, it would be replayed all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't have put it more onto exactly where Dykes wanted it. And it must have been, about a 30-yard pass?
Yeah. It was
unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We move on then to the Saturday games, and Reading, Bristol City. Reading finally getting a win, 5 without a win. Ejaria, then Bentley made a lot of saves to keep it 1-0. Then Wells got the equaliser, and Reading, their heads could have dropped then, I suppose, because they should have been well out of sight at that stage.
Yeah.
But Meite and Joao, give them the win. I don't know, Reading dominated the game like they did for a lot of their home games early in the season. They moved back up into fourth now. And Bristol, I think Bristol were very bad against Norwich earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And it was very similar to that game where they just couldn't keep hold of the ball. They just kept giving possession away. And I suppose for Bristol, they've been flying it. I mean, you're going to have off days over the course of a 46-game season, and this seemed to be one of them for them. But Reading were impressive again.
Yeah, like they needed a win. Reading really, really needed a win.
5 without one.
Yeah.
After like really going all guns blazing early season.
And also stopping all these goals going in was a big thing because they were leaking goals, like not.
Yeah.
That was important, wasn't it? Because they conceded a lot. Like, wasn't nearly 3 every game for the last 6 games.
Yeah, it was like 15 goals in about 5 games.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So they'll be happy enough with that as well.
But the manager was saying afterwards that it was just their best team performance of the season.
Yeah, and I mean that's it. I mean Bristol didn't play well, which helped Reading a bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I question marks about the goalkeeper as well for Reading's second goal.
Oh yeah.
he was kind of caught in no man's land. Yeah. It's like he was going to come for a ball that he was never going to get near to run out and try and kick it, and he ended up being caught practically outside his box. Yeah. A strange one. And Joe scored again. He's been in good form for Reading this season. He looks like a player.
Yeah, and he's so young as well.
Big future, yeah. Big future. And as I said, it's that win for Reading came at the right time, lads, because now they're back up to fourth. They were on the brink of dropping out of that top 6. So it's probably their most essential win of the season. They'll take that great start, but I'd say now they're saying, right, we really needed that win. Come on, now we try and kick on again and rack up another 4 or 5 wins in a row or something,
Yeah, and it'll give them that confidence as well, I suppose. And in terms of them, Bristol City as well, I suppose, it is just put it down to an off day and move on, I suppose.
Yeah. It happens. It's football.
Yeah. Move on then to one of 2 extremely boring games that were played yesterday. Birmingham 0, Millwall 0. Very little chances. Millwall, like Troy Parrott, started this one again. They really need to get someone who can score a goal. But between Birmingham and Millwall this season, they've got 22 goals between them.
Yeah.
And Millwall have drawn another game here, which is what is that 5 in a row they've drawn?
5 in a row. Like they're bankers and they accumulators for draws.
Yeah. And it's 6 without a win for them, while Birmingham haven't won in 5, but Birmingham aren't exactly picking up the draws either in a lot of the games. So Millwall are struggling a bit with injuries, and Cooper, in like a throwback, had to play the last 15 minutes of the game with a dislocated shoulder, even though because they'd used all their subs at that stage. So, but they need to start scoring, don't they, both teams? There's not a lot to say about the game because nothing really happened in it.
Yeah, it's as you say, I think we could have predicted the game was going to be kind of not boring, but it was going to be a game that would be tight, you know what I mean? But yeah, they I suppose they're both lacking. Obviously, Troy Parrott's Millwall's kind of only hope up front. I know your man Bordavarson, he's up front as well, but it's it's Birmingham. They've had a lot of draws, you know what I mean? They're two good clubs. I think Millwall need to get their stuff together though fast because you know what I mean. The top six is slipping away. It's really
absolutely.
Away. Yeah, it's really slipping away statistically. You know what I mean? There was only I think they only had 2 shots on target or something, which is bizarre.
Yeah, it was a ridiculously poor game.
Yeah.
I think if they were still playing now, it would still be 0-0. It was that kind of a match.
Yeah.
We move on then to Blackburn and Barnsley, and this was a kind of a funny stat coming into it. Was Tony Mowbray, who's been around a while for Blackburn, and the team that have beaten him most in his career is Barnsley.
Yeah.
So he always has a tough game against Barnsley for some reason with his teams. That tends to happen to some people, but they got the win yesterday, 2-1. That's that Barnsley probably deserved something out of it. Barnsley had 11 corners, 23 shots on goal, and it was only a 98-minute strike for Palmer. They just didn't take their chances yesterday. Like we said, Woodrow, Stiles, Britton all had great chances. And on another day, they go in. But what Blackburn have is the league's top goal scorer and a great striker in Adam Armstrong. And he took his chance when it came to him. And then Gallagher, who was on as a sub in the second half, gave them a 2-0 lead. So, you know, it wasn't like Blackburn weren't bad in the game either. I mean, they had other chances too. But Barnsley must be disappointed that they didn't get anything out of this one.
Yeah, I think so. As I said, no, they new manager. They went on a good run, Barnsley. Very unlucky the last 2 games, you know. But it just seems Blackburn are really kicking on again. And yet again, you look at that squad. Like Adam Armstrong could be that. He could be the difference. He could be the man that'll get him into that top 6, no problem, and back into the Premier League. Like Harvey Elliott, as deadly as always. Like, you know what I mean. And young Darragh Lenihan there, like he's very good. He's in the back there for Blackburn. He's solid. I'm telling you, he'd be a player that would be snapped soon as well.
Yeah.
And Woodrow has been in good form for Barnsley. He'll be disappointed with some of the chances he missed yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, it's not quite the miss of the day because I think we'll come to that later with his Belanga, who had the century yesterday. But Barnsley though, like we said, they're starting to lose games, but they're playing very well. So you can see they've gotten a lot better under the new guy.
Yeah, like they'll finish higher, way higher than they did last year, which is positive.
Absolutely. Then the team we'll come to know that baffles us every week actually won 4-0 against Luton Town team, who are very hard to beat away from home.
Yeah.
And I mean, we couldn't figure out.
They could not defend corners yesterday.
No. But the manager talked during the week how he felt like he was under pressure. Neil Harris, that he was going to, you know, that there's a chance he might get the sack. And I know we talked about it midweek as well, that he must be under pressure. So to win 4-0 was good. And he made a switch of formation. They had been playing 4-3-2-1 all season. And he switched it back to the simple 4-4-2, the classic. And they won 4-0. Is it too much to say the change of formation helped them, having 2 men up front?
I think it did.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Mark Harris up front for Cardiff. Like, but when you look at the midfield area, you know what I mean? You've got Ojo, Wilson, and I think Reyes is there as well. But, you know what I mean? Cardiff needed to do something fast. Big club, you know what I mean? Always thereabouts in that championship. Like a 4-0 win that's something tactically, you know what I mean? It's that's not just a fluke, you know what I mean? To be, you know, hockeyed in a couple of games and lose games to win 4-0 against a good Luton team, something's definitely changed. And maybe the pressure's off now, Keith, for more up front.
Yeah.
Because obviously there was 2 up front, you know, you've got 4 just behind. So it looks like Wilson was getting a bit more of a run as well. Like he's kind of going on that flank, you know, how good Wilson can be with his crosses and kind of cutting in.
Yeah, he's great corners. Great corners.
Yeah, tactically, lads, I think it was definitely the tactic. Like, tactics are a huge thing, Steve, as you know, when it comes to a team. Yeah. They had to do something fast, and that 4-4-2 classic style formation has definitely worked. And I reckon they're going to win next week as well. I won't even look to see who they're playing. I just reckon they're going to win.
Yeah.
And they could well do. But like you said, Phil, you weren't just like if you were Nathan Jones and Luton, you wouldn't be happy with the defending.
No.
Of the goals they
some of the like Harry Wilson, did he 2 assists from corners? Yeah, like the defending was shambolic, like especially the keep for more goal, the third one or the second one.
Yeah, and they'd only lost 2 of their last 16 away games, Luton. So to lose 4-0 was a bit of a shock, I suppose.
I thought Ojo was very good.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically playing 3 games a week now until January, more or less.
Yeah.
And the manager afterwards spoke of how they're struggling and that he's going to have to freshen things up a bit. it's kind of worrying when the manager says they're struggling to play 3 games a week, when that's what they're going to be doing for about the next month or so.
Yeah.
Well,
so, and then FA Cup kicks in then as well.
Yeah. You're right there. You're right. Like, I remember, side note, Steve, I know Phil just mentioned Ojo there. Like, Ojo is a serious player. Like
he is.
Do you know what I mean? He's still contracted to Liverpool, and like he's been with Fulham, Wolves. You know what I mean? He was with Rangers last season. This boy is good. Like, you know what I mean? Probably Premier League good, to be honest.
And you had Cardiff. They were one of the favourites to make the playoffs to start the season. So, you know, they really did need to do something. And he changed formation, fair play to the manager, and probably keeps him his job for another couple of weeks anyway.
Exactly.
Definitely. We move on then to Derby and Wycombe. A draw on this one as well. Rooney, who took himself out of the squad and actually said before the game he may have kicked his last football as a professional footballer. He didn't absolutely commit to it, but that's what he said. He says it may be the case. He brought back Colin Kazim-Richards into the team, 34 years old, hasn't played in 7 years in England, and he was instrumental. He set up the goal for Holmes. He had a goal ruled out for offside. Derby were very good, really, and the Holmes goal, though, was their first from open play in over 17 hours.
Yeah. Oh, he was quality, Kazim-Richards.
He is. He's 34 now. I mean, Rooney said, I think he wanted to bring some experience into the team. I don't think anyone was expecting that, but there you go.
Who's he from? Who did he play with again?
He was with a load of clubs.
A load of clubs, and a Turkish international, or a former Turkish international.
He was with Sheffield United recently.
Yeah, he was. And then you had... He played in Holland too for quite a while, I think.
I thought Holmes was very good as well.
Holmes was good, and it was a nice goal. He took it well, and they scored their first goal from open play. They had other chances, and they didn't take them.
Yeah.
And, in the end, Wycombe, who were better in the second half, I wouldn't say they were the better team, but they certainly were better in the second half.
Yeah.
And got the equaliser from Bloomfield. And once they scored, it looked like Wycombe were going to win the game.
They actually missed a great chance.
It's that fragile mentality. What was that, Phil?
They missed a great chance at the end.
It did. Macaulay hit one injury time that hit the underside of the bar.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it could go anywhere.
And the big man almost scored as well at the end.
He did. Another good save. And that's a bit worrying, I think, for Rooney and Derby, is once they conceded a goal, they looked very fragile suddenly.
Yeah.
Wycombe, though, scored their first time in 4 games. They've drawn 3 in a row now. They're trying to catch Millwall.
Their goal was very bad, though.
It was an awful goalkeeping mistake, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Goal, lads. A goal's a goal. Once it crosses the line, it's a goal. But
they've lost in about 5 games, have they?
No.
So, Wycombe?
Yeah.
They've drawn 3 in a row now, I think. They lost the 1-4 games ago, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They've drawn 3 in a row. But the goal was kind of a weird one, wasn't it? It was like the keeper expected him to hit it harder.
Yeah.
And he almost jumped way too early, and he was on his way down when it went over him.
Yeah. And it was almost on the goal line before he tapped it in.
Yeah. So you look at Rooney taking himself out of the squad. It seems like he really, really does want this job.
Yeah. I know Jerry doesn't like it.
No, it's but sure, look, just
you don't want him to stop,
right? The club gets bought, right? Which is going to happen. They're going to be bought, right? No, unless the club and the new owners have said to Wayne Rooney, look, you are our manager, and we see a long-term future with you. Rooney's going to say he's going to hang up his boots, right? So today Rooney says, look, I'm retired. I'm not going to come back. Blah blah blah. He gets sacked at the end of the season. He's after saying he's retired. He said, shit, I could probably play another year. Do you know what I mean? It just makes no sense. Like, you know what I mean? It's. Don't get me wrong. Lampard has proved me wrong. Lampard's a good manager, and I think John Terry is going to be a good manager. I think Steven Gerrard's going to be a great manager. Rooney's up there with these guys. Like, he's a legend. Ryan Giggs is doing all right with Wales, but personally, I think Wayne Rooney should play till the end of the season, and he should not have taken that role as manager.
Yeah. I mean, maybe take it at the end of the season, like you said.
Go to Salford City or somewhere, but don't go to Derby.
Yeah.
So, but, Derby are still, they probably won't end up there where they are at the moment. I'm sure they're going to climb out of relegation. They're bound to get it right at some stage.
Yeah, yesterday now was the best I've seen them play in a while.
Gareth Ainsworth was kind of funny after the match. He was talking about how, was it 2 years ago, Wickham got a draw away at Sunderland in League One, and it was like they'd won the cup final or something, he was saying. And he said, now they've come such a long way that like they get a draw away to Derby in a game that they could have won. And he's like, so Wickham really have come so far.
I hope they stay up, lads. I really do. I hope they can just stay up last day of the season and then, bring in a few more players, because they're a great club, lads. They fight hard for their draws and stuff. But I think the big man's going to hit the goal soon. I think he's going to crack on. His Instagram post was brilliant after the game. He said, if I was only a bit fitter and I tried to overhead kick the ball, then maybe we would have won. But like he's a character, like, and I think he's going to be in the game a long time. I don't think he's going to retire anytime soon. And I think he'll have a big role as manager.
Yeah. He's also his playing style. He doesn't need to run around the pitch so much. So,
Genius.
At 38, he can still do a job. Like,
Genius.
Then we move on to one of the strangest games of the weekend, because we had this down as being low scoring, but then we did say that when you think that it will be high scoring, and it was high scoring. But there was only 8 shots on target in the match, and it finished 3-2 to Huddersfield against Middlesbrough. Johnson gave Borough the lead before Etting, who's on loan from Ajax and has been very good actually for Huddersfield this season. Scored, and Campbell scored. There was 2-1 at half time, kind of against the run of play. Assam Belonga, we'll talk about that in a minute, the chance he missed, and Johnson. And then Assam Belonga did score a goal from the spot, and then they just, I don't know what happened to Middlesbrough, they switched off or something, and they allowed Huddersfield to get the winner there, Karomo getting the goal, which really should have been defended better. In fact, all the Huddersfield goals should have been defended better.
The thing with Middlesbrough as well, they've only let in 6 goals before this.
They hadn't conceded. This is the first time they've conceded more than 1 goal in the match all season.
So
but they'll be disappointed with the errors they made for the goals. They just didn't close down the shots quick enough. The goalkeeper probably should have saved the first one.
100%.
And Johnson missed the chance, was kind of saved by the keeper, but how did Assam Belonga miss that chance early on when it was 0-0?
And he's in form, it's strange.
He must have been, I'd say, no more than 3 yards out with an empty net in front of him, and he managed to put it over. I think if that ball is played to him another 100 times and he's asked to try and put this over the bar, if you can, he wouldn't be able to. It was harder to put it over the bar from where he was than put it into the net.
He's the kind of player that really frustrates me, because he can be so good.
And I mean, this is like he's getting goals for them, but that was horrific miss.
That was horrible.
And it cost them. Horrible. But I mean, this is just one of those kind of fluke games you have every now and then, I suppose.
It's championship football. As you said, it happens. We've seen it in the past. I'm sure we've all done it in the schoolyard, Steve, at some stage. But it's mad. It's a crucial miss. You know what I mean? It could have changed the game, definitely.
It could have, because Middlesbrough were on top early on and just couldn't get the goal. And, they did eventually take the lead. But
Fraser Campbell still knocking on the door. Like, he's been around a long time, lads.
And he looks good as well. Really does. But Huddersfield, they needed a win as well, because they were starting to kind of slip away from things a little bit. So
first win in 7, I think.
It gets them going again now as well. So that's what they want. Then we're going to move on to, and before we talk about the game, we'll talk about the injuries for Norwich. 13 players injured. One of them being Pookie, who was missing yesterday, and obviously Krull came off midweek. Meant Stiepermann had to play up front. Now, Max Aarons also limped off in stoppage time, which isn't going to help them. But you're allowed 9 substitutes, as we talked about earlier. Norwich could only have 6 on the bench. Of the 6 on the bench, they had Zimmerman and 5 academy players. I mean, there's injury crises and there's what's happening at Norwich. And the fact that they have 7 points from their last 3 games, shows the kind of squad they have. But I mean, if they keep going like this, they're not going to be able to field the team soon.
Like they would have won that game comfortably if they had all their players.
And when you see Max Aarons limping off, being helped off actually by the physios at the end of the game, he's not going playing midweek, I'd imagine.
I wouldn't think so.
So it's really weird that it's happening. I mean, the academy players is probably good for them. Maybe Norwich will unearth another gem from one of them. But I mean, the fact that they couldn't even fill out their bench yesterday.
This we're going to know what Klopp is on about with too many games and all this kind of.
And that's the issue for them, isn't it? I mean, they have You know, they had, like I said, they couldn't even fill out the bench. They were 3 players short of the bench because, you know, he probably was like, well, I'm not going to bring, you know, 8 academy players and put them on the bench.
Yeah.
Statistically, lads, this has to be the most incredible season ever for injuries. So what does it come down to? Does it come down to, obviously, players are training, obviously there's restrictions, obviously they're stressed. Does it come down to all this? Because you look at Liverpool, you look at Norwich, you look at some of the big teams in the Championship, teams in the Premier League, teams in Scotland, they're all missing key players consistently. Like
it is. I think, you know, I think what it comes down to, for me anyway, that I know that I would have really struggled with playing 3 games in a week. I know everyone always says that, oh, they're professionals and they're super fit and they should be able to do it. But playing 3 games in a week, like playing a match for 90 minutes, it's a huge toll on your body. Yeah. And doing that 3 times a week, and then doing it 3 times a week the next week, and 3 times a week the next week.
And the training on top of that as well.
And the training on top of that, it's tough. But what usually helps is you finish a season, you have maybe 2-3 weeks off, and you can rest and you can relax and you can get your body kind of heal itself a bit while you're doing that. Then you go into pre-season, and you have another 3 or 4 weeks of pre-season where you can slowly start to build up the fitness. You can start, you know, doing your stretches. You can start doing your cardio work, you can start doing your plyotechnics and everything else, and you can get your body ready then for the season, and you're fresh and you're ready to go. This year there was no pre-season hardly for the players.
Yeah.
They had maybe 2 weeks of pre-season with like a week off.
Yeah.
But before that week off, they crammed the end of a season into basically June.
Yeah.
Basically.
And they played so many games in June that they needed 3 weeks off that they didn't get. Yeah. And they needed then a full pre-season, which they didn't get. And it's no surprise that there's an awful lot of muscle injuries because, you know, you need to rest your muscles. It's just the way it is. And that's why I think they realised they had to bring in the 5 subs, without which Norwich would really be in trouble.
Yeah. When the great James Milner gets injured, you know there's something wrong. That man never gets injured. So, like, he came off of a hamstring yesterday. It's crucial. I think at the end of the season, lads, there's going to be some tally of injuries. Like, I know the Euros, I think the Euros are on 2021, aren't they?
Yeah. The Euros, the international managers, and that's the other thing, the international games, that's playing 3 international games in a week is ridiculous as well.
Yeah. We're going to see a lot.
The international teams are the ones. The international teams are the ones that are going to suffer because a lot of big stars are going to be missing from the Euros because they will be injured come the end of the season.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And it is down to that, but I think it's a lot, and you're going to see a lot of hamstring injuries, and you're going to see a lot of like calf injuries and that kind of a thing, and you know that keeps somebody out for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And you end up with a situation like Norwich have, where they now have 13 players missing.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, they have a big squad. I mean, the fact that they are still able to put out 11 like good players and still have another guy in Zimmerman on the bench shows how big their squad really is.
Yeah.
But they're down to the bare bones at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, about the game, Branich got a penalty for Norwich.
That was no penalty, by the way. That was not a penalty.
No, it wasn't. We'll talk about that in a second there now. And Coventry got a point through a late BMO goal, which they deserved. Coventry gave as good as they got. I think the draw was a fair result here.
Yeah.
But about that penalty, Phil, tell us all about
it. The ball went into the box. The goalkeeper clearly got his hands on the ball, but it looked like the player fell more than anything.
Yeah, it was kind of the momentum kind of took the keeper into him, but the keeper got the ball.
It's the way he
got his hand on the ball.
But I think it's the way he fell is the way they gave the penalty, because he kind of jumped.
Yeah, but he clearly got his hand to the ball. So whether he 100%. Bashed into him or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, he got the ball. He
you could see the ball went the other way completely. Yeah.
And I know we talk about not having VAR in the Championship, and we don't want it in the Championship, but that was something they would have cleared up, I think.
Yeah.
And it gave Norwich a penalty, and it gave them a point at the end of the day. But Coventry I suppose they'll be disappointed with the penalty decision, but they'll be happy enough to get the late equaliser.
Yeah.
What do we think about Coventry are in trouble though? Really, still aren't they? They're way down the bottom. And
I think they're going to stay up.
They'll get some snaky results.
They're capable of that because they can be good going forward.
Yeah.
And they were good yesterday. I mean, I think it would have been harsh on either team to lose yesterday, to be fair, but Norwich, who were still top of the championship, Coventry gave as good as they got yesterday, which they've been doing a lot, but not getting the results. So they'll be happy enough to get a result here away to Norwich.
Yeah, definitely. It's well, great point for Coventry. But as you say, lads, Jesus, they've been hit hard with injuries. It's not nice. Great manager, you know what I mean? It's not nice.
So we move on to one of the best games of the weekend, really. 2-2 draw, Rotherham, Bournemouth. Talking about injuries as we were in the last one, Bournemouth were missing Danjuma and Cook, and it kind of showed a little, because both of them have been very good recently.
Yeah.
Rotherham, though, really, really looked good in this one as well. Like, it was one of their best games of the season.
Yeah. I was very impressed with Lapido.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 goals from him. Came after Stanislas had given Bournemouth lead with a penalty. And then Solanke, who's hitting form now in terms of goal scoring. He's been good all season in terms of setting up goals and being involved in chances, but he's starting to score every couple of games now at least for them. So, both teams had chances to win it. Blackman and Begovic both made good saves. It was just an entertaining 2-2 draw, really.
Yeah.
Great game. Solanke is showing his price tag, you know what I mean? When they paid 20 million for him, people were laughing, but that's a great fee.
Watch him now next season and he'd be flying them in the Premier League.
Yeah. Like David Brooks is quality, lads. I always say David Brooks is quality, and Dan Gosling is still putting the shifts, you know what I mean? Which is great.
Yeah. And again, Bournemouth lucky that they've got such a big squad, I suppose, because Danjuma and Cook have been brilliant the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And for both of them to be missing, and for them to still play as well as they did yesterday. And they just came up against, Rotherham probably having their best game of the season.
Yeah. Good time to hit form.
It is. And when you're playing against a team like Bournemouth, who are second in the table and who have been flying it, and you play that well and you get a point, that must give you confidence as a team and as a player. You must say, look, we were able to match Bournemouth. We can go up against anyone now, like.
Yeah. It's to say, it is a draw. It's only 1 point, but that 1 point will feel like 3 points to them, because you know what I mean. They've matched probably the best team in the championship. They they had chances to score 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging, and they're still missing a few players. Like Ogden Benny's not there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I know sadly I don't think he was on the bench, as far as I recall. He wasn't. As I said, they look good. Be nice to see him stay up.
Yeah. And like you were saying there as well, guys, Ladapo got his 2 goals.
Yeah.
And he's been good lately, and he's starting to score for them now. And
the second goal was especially good.
Yeah, it's very important, isn't it, to be able to get a goal scorer in this division, and they seem to have one in him.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. So we'll move on then to the Toney Pulis derby.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Stoke 0. 20 goals in Stoke's last 4 games. So 0-0 here was kind of a bit of a shock, I suppose. Very little happened in this game. There was 2 shots on target. One from Harris, which our boy, John Obi Mikel, cleared off the line. Not a lot to say about it other than that, because it was absolutely dull.
It was not good.
And Pulis has a lot of work. He's sorted them out defensively already, it seems. And he's going to hope they nick goals from set pieces, which is kind of his style.
After the game, he was kind of giving out about not having the forwards.
Yeah, which is, I mean, they let go of a few, they let Fletcher go and things like that. But, his experience, can he get them out of there? I mean...
Yeah.
If they get in a forward in January, I'd say, yeah.
You need someone. I mean, he's already, they look more solid at the back already.
Yeah. They're hard to score against already.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He would have taken that job, lads, unless he knew there was something there, you know what I mean? He's not a... He's got a lot in the line. Obviously, he had a nice little cushy job at Sky Sports, but he's proven, you know what I mean. He's a great manager, and I think he probably looked at the situation, sat down, spoke to his coaching staff, and said, "Look, we're in this position. Maybe we can bring 1 or 2 old heads back." You know what I mean? And he knows what he's doing. I think they will stay up, all right, but just about.
Yeah, I think they have a great chance of that. Stoke, then, kind of stops their mad run of goals and games they've been involved in here, and back to keeping a clean sheet again for Stoke.
Yeah.
And also not scoring a goal.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know, I don't want to talk about this game much more really, because it just nearly put me to sleep.
Yeah.
He's done some job. Michael O'Neill has done some job.
Yeah.
That's it. But if you can't sleep tonight, try and find a copy of that match, and it'll have you out about 10 minutes, I'd say. Nothing happened. So we move on to the last one. Obviously, we're recording this Sunday morning, so Nottingham Forest haven't played Swansea yet.
Kicks off in 5 minutes.
Kicks off in 5 minutes. So if there's a couple of early goals, we might be able to get it. Watford versus Preston. Goals from Keena, Dini, Chaboa and Pedro for Watford. Barkhausen with a goal for Preston that took a massive deflection.
Yeah.
Preston had a few chances while it was 0-0. Maguire had a great shot.
Yeah.
Well to tip over.
Yeah.
But once Watford got that first goal, that was it. Like, I mean, Preston just fell apart and they were hammered, basically.
Yeah. That manager is going to be gone soon.
He has to be the favourite to go, I'd say, because Watford are unbeaten in 5 games. Preston have lost 5 of their last 7.
Yeah.
And they're dropping down the table. Now, they have 13 away points out of their 16 and just the 3 at home from that Sheffield Wednesday game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the match, Alex Neil was saying that they have no fullbacks available at the moment, so he went to a back 5 and played his 2 paciest players as wing-backs, essentially.
Yeah.
So he was Scott Sinclair basically playing as a wing-back on one side, and I think Barkhausen might have been on the other side. But that sounds like he's just making excuses.
Yeah.
That's always a problem, you know, for a manager. Whereas you look at Norwich and, like, the manager, who's great, I think everyone loves the Norwich manager because he's so honest and whatever. Like, he wasn't complaining about all the players they had out missing.
No. That's like Van Gaal years ago used to play Lingard on the wing backs.
Who? Yeah. Lingard. What's he up to these days? Is he working a super?
He's injured, I think.
Okay, yeah.
No, but like Van Gaal used to play random players at wing back.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work. And it seems like he's just trying things, like he's desperate. So if you look at Preston, and on their forums, on Twitter, on their Facebook page, and that, a lot of the fans who would be more in the know than we would seem to think the manager has lost the dressing room as well, and there's no way back from that.
No.
If that is the case.
And they're playing Bournemouth next, so.
Yeah. But if you look at that team, lads, if you look at the team they have, right, so obviously there's players in Maguire, Ben Pearson, Scott Sinclair, Jordan Story, Brad Potts. They're all big characters, like Declan Rudd there on goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're players that will express how they're feeling. And obviously Alan Brown, you know, he's a big boy in that team. Obviously he's not on the bench, he's away injured, I think. But I think Preston are a huge club. Obviously, we know they're on the brink of taking over Cork City, same owners. Yeah. But I think I like Alex Neil. Do you know what I mean? And I never want to see a manager leave. But you can't justify losing seven from 9 games at home and winning away. Like, that's what's kept them in the job. But they're a big club. Like, I reckon at the start of the season, the manager was looking at definitely a playoff spot. Like,
definitely.
That was their goal. It wasn't just to stay up or finish top half. I reckon their ambition was, look, we have a squad, we should go for that top 6.
Yeah, and they
put rightly so, but they're not doing it. You know what I mean? So
something has to change, and more often than not, it's not the players that are going to go; it's going to be the manager.
Like they're 18th in the league now.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it's shocking. It really is, and they're still got one of the best away records. Yeah. And if it wasn't for that, they would be in real trouble.
Yeah. And there is money there. We always see they're not afraid to dip into the bank. You know what I mean? They're not a club that don't spend. You know what I mean? They do spend. Like, there's obviously Irish players and underage players. They good investment in them. Like, you know, but they're a good club. They should really be up there in the top 8, top 6. You know.
They should be. And with Bristol losing and Watford winning, the top 3 in the championship now is Norwich, Bournemouth, and Watford. The 3 relegated teams.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
They're strong lads. As you said, I remember, Stephen, one of the episodes you ran about Norwich not spending so much when they came up into the Premier League. And it's worked. They didn't splash all that cash they made. They obviously got relegated. Do you know what I mean? They have a big enough squad to get them back up. And maybe then when they do go back up, they might spend this time. You know what I mean? But it was wise. Imagine they had all these big stars in that team in the championship.
That's it. And I think they've noticed what's happened to teams that have spent money. And have spent a lot of money and have gone back down. They've struggled.
Yeah.
QPR. Remember that?
Yeah, QPR. I mean, look at Sunderland, like, absolutely just decimated. Leeds, I know they're back in the Premier League now, but when they first went down.
Portsmouth are a big thing as well.
No, Portsmouth as well. I mean, the less said about what Harry Redknapp did to them, the better. In terms of the debt he put them into.
Bolton, I know we talk about Bolton and their issues, but the
same thing, yeah. I mean, the money they were just spending was ridiculous. Yeah. But I think teams that go up now need to look at a club like Burnley, who were kind of up and down, didn't spend money. And then when they went back up, like the second time, they were like, we'll spend a little money now. And they kept themselves up. And then each year they're just building. And now they're in trouble this season, Burnley. But you wouldn't say if they went down, Burnley would be in trouble again.
Yeah.
In terms of financially. Yeah. And that I think has to be for clubs like Norwich. That has to be the goal. That you can protect yourself if you go down. And but it's again, maybe it's the coronavirus that clubs aren't coming in for the players, but the 3 teams that went down, it's never looked so easy for 3 teams coming into a division.
Yeah.
And they're just 1, 2, and 3 now in the league.
Yeah.
Troy Deeney started yesterday.
He looked good.
He makes his comeback from injury. He was very good yesterday. He, I think he set up a goal that was ruled out for offside. He scored his penalty, which he basically smashed it at the goalkeeper, who, literally hit it at him, but still went in.
Yeah.
He hit it so hard. And I think he set up one of the other goals as well.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Deeney back playing and playing well, I suppose. But like we said, maybe once he breaks that record, he might hang up the boots because, his knee, I'm sure, is going to come at him. Like 3 games a week is probably out for him at this stage.
Yeah. He needs to play it safe.
So he's, but another goal, and I think he would absolutely love to become Watford's all-time scorer because Luther Blissett is still talked about, there and how good he was for Watford, and obviously he did it when he was a bit younger and he went off to Italy and what have you, but he's still talked about at Watford, and you think of the likes of John Barnes and that and what they did at Watford, and I think Deeney is going to be up there. He's going to be remembered as one of the greats at Watford, and if he becomes their all-time scorer.
Yeah.
Rightly so, he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it.
He does. He really does. So we will leave it there in terms of our look back. If goals pop in early, we'll let you know as we go through the last bit of the show here. Still nil on, a couple of minutes in.
Yeah.
Anyway, goal of the week this week?
Lapido, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, his second goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Dykes. Just for the pass more than the finish. Finish is good.
I will special mention for that Armstrong finish. That was very good.
Yeah. Again, he smashed it in the keeper, no hope.
Yeah.
And he's just looked so good. Player of the week?
Probably Lapido again.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I'd agree with you there because he had a great game.
Well, it's who they're playing as well, like Bournemouth.
Yeah. How about for you, Jerry? Saying or going
Ojo for Cardiff.
Ojo was good, yeah.
Yeah, he was good, yeah.
He was. So the kind of best team then?
Cardiff, I'd say.
Yeah, I think 4-0 win, change of formation.
Yeah. Watford were brilliant.
Watford were very good as well.
Yeah.
But Preston were awful. They didn't help themselves. So yeah, I think Rotherham, and I'm going to have a mention as well, like we said, but I think Cardiff 4-0 winners when they were in real trouble needed it. And the shock of the week?
Probably Huddersfield winning.
Millwall drawing for a 5th time in a row.
Huddersfield.
The least shocking result of the week.
Huddersfield, and also the fact that Luton were hammered as well.
Yeah. I think they were the kind of the big shocks, really, weren't they?
Yeah.
If you look at Huddersfield, Middlesbrough, they just weren't conceding goals, and suddenly there's 5 in a match.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. But we won't be away for long because midweek games.
Yeah.
It's going out on Monday, so there's games already tomorrow.
Yeah.
As there will be for a while. A few tasty ones in here for teams that are struggling and teams that are trying to get up there as well. So we'll go through them here quickly. Cardiff versus Huddersfield.
It's so hard to call that.
Yeah, I'd say Cardiff.
I think Cardiff got 2 wins in a row. Yeah. I think Jerry called that early before he even saw who Cardiff were playing.
Yeah.
So.
It's just they both won and they both scored. Like Huddersfield got 3, Cardiff got 4. But no, I'm going to say Cardiff as well. 2-0 Cardiff.
Yeah, something like that. 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Cardiff in that one as well. So banker Huddersfield there if anyone's doing accumulators, I'd say, if we're all going for Cardiff.
Yeah.
Birmingham, home to Barnsley.
Another draw. Birmingham are just unpredictable and they always draw.
Yeah. I fancy Barnsley to nick this 1-0.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Put money on Barnsley to win 1-0.
Yeah.
Preston, could this be the last game for the manager away to Bournemouth?
They lose, it has to be.
I think they're going to hammer it again, 3-0.
Yeah, I can see Bournemouth destroying them here in this game as well.
Yeah.
Just the way they've been playing. And yeah, maybe a 3-1 or something like that again. And the manager gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost 5 of 7. If they lose 6 of 8, I mean.
Yeah.
No, especially because they're on the brink of relegation.
And I mean,
on the brink of dropping into that now.
Yeah, and I mean, their home form is awful. And if they lose for the second time away from home in the space of a week, they're in real trouble. Now, 2 teams who are down at the bottom, a relegation 6-pointer, or Derby home to Coventry.
I actually think Derby.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Rooney take himself out. He's got to get that first win eventually.
Yeah, I think 1-0.
1-0. I'm going to go for a high scorer here. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Derby in the game of the week.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Coventry, lads.
Well, could be controversial, but could be. QPR home to Bristol City.
It's a very hard one because QPR.
2 teams whose form has been a bit iffy lately, huh?
Yeah, draw.
2-0 to Bristol.
2-0 to Bristol. I'm going to go for. I think I'll go for Bristol to win this one away from home because I don't trust QPR ever.
Yeah.
So maybe a 2-1 win there for Bristol. Rotherham home again after a good performance against Bournemouth. They now have to play Brentford.
0-0.
Banker for 1-1.
Yeah, 0-0.
0-0. Yeah, 1-1 here maybe. Although Toney will get the hat trick the time I don't call it 3-0 to Brentford. So there we go. Move on then to Wednesday's games. Middlesbrough up against Swansea.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know how Swansea get on today. That could push them into the playoffs, I think, or move them up the table.
3-1 to Swansea.
3-1 Swansea, yeah.
Yeah, I
think. Yeah, Middlesbrough's defence to fall apart again.
Yeah.
I can see this being maybe a 2-1 to Swansea kind of a job. I think Middlesbrough, the manager experience, will get them back to basics a bit midweek. But Swansea with Ayo up front are just so good going forward.
Yeah.
A tasty tie then, Blackburn against Millwall. You have like a very good defence against a very good attacking team.
Yeah, Blackburn 2-0.
2-0 Blackburn.
Yeah.
Blackburn 2-1, but try Parrott to score. Yeah, Millwall.
I can see Millwall stealing this match 1-0. In one of those classic games where you're battered for 90 minutes, but you score on the break. So we move on then to the injury hit Norwich away to Luton Town. How do you see this one going?
I think Luton.
Luton?
Yeah.
Come back from their...
It's very hard, because as you said, Jerry, there, it's very hard because they could get hammered again.
Yeah, it's just like Luton are a strong team. Like, Norwich, will they finally start to panic? That's the question. It's they have a lot of depth. But it could be a tough one. I'd say they'll be haunted to get a 1-0 victory. I'm going to say. Yeah. I'm going to say 1-1, and Norwich will be happy with that for now because obviously their depth is kind of dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this could be a draw as well, and I think, like you said, I think Norwich will be delighted with that. Because I have a feeling they're going to have to even possibly play 1 or 2 of the academy players.
Yeah.
Which, who knows, maybe, like we said, the next superstar is there. The next Messi or Ronaldo suddenly comes out of Norwich.
Yeah. Look, you remember what didn't Rooney score? Did Rooney put that ball past David Seaman that time with Everton?
Yeah, that was it. 16 years old.
I always remember where I was, lads. I was in a minibus with Jerry Rogers. We were on our way to a GA game. And we could hear it be on the radio. I think Trevor Welsh was on the radio. And it changed the game. It does.
Yeah. So you never know. And Norwich are known for bringing through some good young players the last few years. So maybe there's a star there in the making.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We move on into a team that are currently playing. And I actually have that on in front of me as we're recording. Still 0-0.
Yeah.
Just about 18 minutes gone here. Forest against Swansea. So Forest home to Watford. You see that one? Watford. Outside the relegation places.
I want to see you do well at Forest, lads, to be honest. But obviously, when it comes to being a professional and having to pick something, like you have to say Watford the way they're playing.
Yeah,
I think so. I know Andre Gray went off injured again after he's only back a couple of weeks in the game. But Troy Deeney back firing on all cylinders, like kind of is a perfect replacement to have for Gray.
Yeah,
he's missed Watford, like, so I think with him back in the squad, the players and, like, you know, Sar's something else as well, lads. You know what I mean? They have a great team.
And Deeney is kind of like, isn't he, like Akinfenwa Wickham? He just gets everyone around him going.
Yeah.
He's that kind of personality. You know, he'll be barking at the referee and he'll be in the referee's ear and, you know, he'll spur on all the players and, you know, that kind of way. 100%. So I think Watford as well there in that one away from home. I think they'd probably end up winning it maybe 2-0. Sheffield Wednesday against Reading. Tony Pulis, will he get his first win as Wednesday manager in Reading?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, you think a Wednesday 1-0? I think why not? He has to win eventually, and he has them solid. I know Reading will be, you know, up after the last win, and you know, can they keep the consistency going for Reading? I suppose more than anything.
Yeah.
But I think Pulis might do it, and maybe a goal from a set piece.
Yeah.
That's the win for Wednesday 1-0. So we move on then to the last game of Wednesday, which is Wickham against Stoke.
A draw.
What do we see?
Another draw.
Another draw. Will they catch Millwall in the draw stakes?
They might.
3 in a row for Wickham.
I say 0-0 as well.
0-0.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win for some reason. I don't know.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to get the 1-0.
I think I fancy Wickham as well. I don't know why. I just think they've been going along well, and I just fancy them to nick one. I think the big man might get a goal midweek, and there might be enough for them. 1-0. We'll wait and see anyway. So that's about it. Gone through just about everything we could go through, and then a bit more.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there, and we'll be back probably on Thursday with our shortened version of the show, just looking back at the midweek games. So thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to you all soon.
Yeah.
Thanks.